This episode is brought to you by Whitaker Garage Doors, your one-stop shop for all things garage doors, proudly based in Peekskill, New York. Your home is a direct reflection of your personal style, and let's face it, your garage doors are the first thing people see when they pull up your driveway. Whether you're looking for the timeless charm of a classic carriage house door or the clean, sleek look of a basic wood finish, Whitaker Garage Doors offers traditional options for every taste and budget. I can personally vouch for their incredible service. When I had my own garage doors done, I was blown away by their timeliness, professionalism, and overall respect for their clients. Jonathan, Cassara, and their entire team are top-notch, and they really go the extra mile to ensure you're happy with the final result. So if you're in the market for a new garage door or need some repairs, give them a call or find them on Instagram at Whitaker_doors. Don't forget to tell them you're a friend of Dave's over at the No Snooze podcast. Whitaker Doors. You won't regret it. Now, back to the epi. Adversity? Bring it. The struggle? I welcome it. Snooze on life? Never that. I am Dave Regina, and this is the No Snooze podcast. Come on. Welcome back, No Snooze Podcast, episode 270. As always, I'm in the booth, baby, and today I got a fire three. I got my brother with me, Felipe Felva Vargas, Claudio the Voice Valenzuela, and I am Dave the Body Regina. Today's guest is Felipe Vargas, better known as Felva, a Grammy-nominated DJ, producer, recording artist, and global entertainer out of Miami with Ecuadorian and Colombian roots. Known for his signature energy, and he's built a name blending Latin, Caribbean, electronic, and Miami club culture into a sound that moves crowds worldwide. Felva has worked on major records, including collaborations with artists like Busta Rhymes, Yailin, La Mas Viral, Major Lazer, Diplo, Joel and Randy, Ding Dong, and so many more. And from sold-out nightclubs and beach parties to international stages and festivals, he's become one of the most recognizable rising DJs in the Latin and Caribbean music space. And today, we're talking music, discipline, culture, building a brand, and what it really takes to stay relevant in an industry that never sleeps. Phil, welcome to the podcast, my brother.
Thank you, my boy.
Yeah, we here, baby.
Appreciate you. Thanks for having me, man. It's full circle moment for us.
Yes, sir.
And he called me Phil. Dave called me Phil. Only that's that goes way back. Only the people that really know me call me Phil.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, thanks for having me, man. Excited. Up early, getting to it.
That's right. Listen, we went to college together, so we have three Valiants in the building. Shout out to Manhattanville University. Even though it's always Manhattanville College.
Still, yeah.
You know, so yeah, just to set the backstory, Phil and I go back many, many years. And I just want to tell you publicly, man, it's amazing to watch what you've been able to build. Super proud of you. And, you know, you're somebody that we can go even a couple years not talking and having conversations, and then we jump in the car and it's just like day one. So I just want to tell you publicly, man, I'm grateful for you. I'm so happy for all your success, and well deserved, man.
Thank you, my brother. Same. Likewise, bro. Much.
Thank you.
A lot of mutual respect. You know what I mean? We go back and seeing what you've done and everything that you've integrated into your life and what you've become is great to watch. Very motivating, inspiring, and it's great to have a friend and a colleague like you in the bag.
Yeah, you know? I got to tell the story, man. So Phil, early on, he did everything. I mean, he was a phenomenal ball player, a barber to me and all of our teammates. And he was doing music early on. And there was this song what was the name of the song?
Life of a Star.
Okay, it was
No,
called,
it wasn't Life of a Star.
Yes, it was. Life of a Hustler.
Life of a Hustler.
It was Life of a Hustler. And it was a great track that came out in college. We all used to bang to it. And there was a line that he said, and I got guap money like Derek Jeter, right? And then when I heard that, I was like, yo, you said the name, you said my name. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, yo, and I got guap money like Dave Regina.
Dave Regina.
And that became the thing.
That was
Every time we would speak, he's like, yo, guap money.
Guap money. And look, and now you guap money for real.
Nah, man. Listen, it's one day at a time. But take us back. Tell us, obviously, you know, in the bio, we heard you're from Miami. Give us a little bit of the upbringing, the dynamic there, and then how, you know, your love for music kind of came about.
Absolutely, man. Miami, I always say Miami raised me, New York made me. That's my thing. And you know, my family migrated to the States from Ecuador and Colombia when I was 2 years old. And I grew up in Miami, all over Miami. When we first got to Miami, I lived in South Beach. Then my father moved into Hialeah. My mother bought an apartment in Kendall, Sweetwater. And so I literally have lived everywhere in Miami. And Miami's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place. It's a place. I'm not gonna say it's a melting pot how New York is, you know, but it's a very Caribbean place, I would say. A lot of Spanish people, a lot of Caribbeans, a lot of Jamaicans, Dominicans, Cubans, all that stuff. And growing up in Miami, I really didn't do much. I basically, since I was early on in life, I just played basketball and I would say simultaneously began on my musical journey early on with basketball too. I was always a kid that was on Napster and LimeWire, like downloading music. And then I took it a step further and started burning CDs. And I think that was looking back now, without being so technical, I think that was when I first started DJing, was 8, 9 years old, without even physically knowing how to DJ. But, you know, a DJ essentially is a song selector. And so I think that when I first started burning CDs, now looking back, those were my early stages of DJing, you know, 8, 9 years old, burning hip hop CDs, Shakira CDs for my mother, Selena for my mother and for my sister, Project Pat and Biggie for me and all that stuff, you know, early on. And even recording some of the mixes on the radio, like with the cassettes and stuff like that. That all kind of like, I think was my first exposure to DJing. But simultaneously, I was playing ball always. Like I loved hooping. And that's all I really did, man. That's all I really did from when I can remember up until I was 18. Eventually, when I was in my teenage years, I started producing music. I picked up FL Studio. So it's for those that don't know about musical production, there's many programs out there, FL Studio being one of them. Back then it was called Fruity Loops. And I started with that program in its early stages. It was like Fruity Loops 3. Now there's like Fruity Loops 26.
Oh, wow.
And I learned the program early on and stuck with it. And I would just play ball, burn CDs, do all that stuff. You know what I mean? In middle school, I met a couple of friends. My boy Gabriel De Los Reyes was a very artsy guy, rapped, all of that. He got me into rapping. He got me into actually DJing. I DJed my first official gig at a friend's quinces, you know, back in Miami. Cuban people, Spanish people, we celebrate
Quinceañeras.
Quinceañera is a big deal, you know. So when the quinces came around, I started DJing those things. And, you know, basketball, I owe a lot to basketball. It took me around the world and brought me to New York where I met the body, Dave Regina, you know. And luckily I was able to come to New York, to Manhattanville, play ball. And that's where everything really kind of like my creativeness really just like, you know, flourished.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is even when I first met you in college, man, there was always just something so smooth about you. Your jump shot was a flawless looking jump shot.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
But you used to, you know, I have vivid memories of you just being in the gym, really just shooting with your headphones on. You know, and that was a thing. Like a lot of people like to listen to music, you know, even as a team and over the loudspeakers. But you always had headphones on early, just getting jump shots in.
Yeah.
I'm curious though, from your parents' perspective. So they came over as immigrants, right? What would you say are the biggest lessons that you learned from both mom and dad as you came over, or as you grew up, I guess?
Well, they came over and got divorced 6 months after we migrated. So, you know, it wasn't, a one-family household that I lived in. I would say I would have to break it down per parent for people to understand, as many people grow up, with a divorced household. My mother, I think my work ethic and discipline and consistency comes from her. She worked sometimes 2-3 jobs. She was always had a corporate job happening, but if she had to bag groceries at Publix, she would do it. If she had to deliver pizzas at Pizza Hut, she would do that. And, I credit a lot of my consistency and discipline to my mother, like 100% my hero. And so I think all of that came from her. My dad, I think, is just kind of like a cool guy, you know what I'm saying? More of like the street side. My dad was a little bit of a gangster, let's say, kind of a Colombian, not really like a gangster, but just like has some street to him, and finesser, you know what I'm saying? Finesser. Also worked hard early on, I would say, but then got comfortable and started living the American dream, I think, once he settled into the States. But I think that they were able to be diplomatic with each other when it came to parenting. My father wasn't always there for me for my basketball games, for instance. He wasn't always at my things, but whenever I really needed him, he was there. You know what I'm saying? And so they worked it out, and I think I learned how to be diplomatic watching how they parented, me and my sister. And being diplomatic is very important in the world of business.
Absolutely.
How to handle situations and not let things go over your head or hurt people's, not really feelings, but maybe brands or image, or just being diplomatic, I've learned, is very, very important. Not burning bridges, not burning relationships. And I think all that started from watching the parenting and the consistency. So shout out to my parents. They did a good job.
Shout out to your parents. I've had the opportunity to meet both of them over the years.
Yeah.
Great people, great family. But I think it's important to also see a great product of a healthy divorce situation. My situation as well. So I pride myself on making sure that.
Also, my mother, did a really good job with. She had her own life after that they got divorced, and she always brought very positive male role models in my life growing up, and that was very important, because in an old school traditional type of family, and like my grandparents and stuff, a divorce is seen as like, oh my God, you got divorced. And then if you start dating somebody else, it's like, oh, she's dating this person or dating that person. And it's like in modern day people date, it's normal.
Right.
But the men that she brought into my life that actually came to my household and she took serious were also very positive male role models. And till this day, I mean, Ralph, my stepfather at the time for 10 years, he's like my dad, like awesome. Another dad.
Yeah.
So, shout out to her for always making sure that she vetted the people properly before bringing them into, our household and stuff like that. Because I have nothing but positive things to say about the male role models that I've had in my life.
That's a great point, man. Before we transition into, you as a brand and what you've done in music, I think it's also important to let everybody know you hooped professionally for a number of years too, right? So before music was the dream, it really was basketball that gave you the opportunity to kind of travel and really see the world on a much different level than me being exposed to New York and Connecticut. Right? I didn't travel much, growing up, and even still, I don't really love airplanes. But you're always all over the globe, man. And it's
always on
cool.
a plane. Not a big fan of them, but always on a plane. At basketball, definitely set that platform for me.
And where'd you play professionally?
Well, I started in Ecuador. I was born in Ecuador, so it was easy for me to get into the Ecuadorian league. I played as a native, not as an import. Every team is able to have 3 imports. And it's much harder to go overseas and play pro when you're an import.
Wait, you played as a native, you said? Oh, because you were born there.
I was born there.
Gotcha, okay.
So I didn't count as an import. So I was able to basically finagle my way into that league as a native, and my level of play was basically at an import level, but as a native.
Right.
Because I grew up in the States. I played in the States. I played college. I played NCAA, all that stuff at Manhattanville. And so comparing that to the everyday Ecuadorian player, I was a high-level player in that specific league, which made me very valuable in that league.
Right.
Whereas like Ecuadorians were charging maybe $500 a month to play there, I was getting $3K to play ball as a native.
Right.
That was basically what imports would charge. But it made you very valuable within that league if you had a very good native, because now you have 3 good imports plus a fourth native that plays at import level. You have an advantage. So it was a cool introduction to playing pro. Very short-lived because I was always injury prone. And that was my thing with basketball. Like, I was always a good player. I had a special skill to score the basketball, to shoot. But I don't think I ever went one full season without breaking an ankle or like spraining a wrist and just being out. And it was, over time it just gets annoying. You prepare, you put your body through all this physical preparation. You go through the 5 a.m. workouts, the lifting, this, the film sessions to get hurt. And it's like, it just happened to me constantly. I was always a skinny guy, and basketball is a very physical sport. And when you go overseas, it's just, especially in Latin America, it's just very dirty. Like, the referees don't protect the player the way they do here. You know what I mean? It's kind of like almost like no blood, no foul.
Yeah.
And my body's just not suited for that. So, I took a couple hits and it was just, it was just tough because I would have to put my life on pause.
Right.
Rent out my apartment, put things in storage, travel to Ecuador, get settled in to play 6-7 games and get hurt. And then it's like, okay, what do I do from now? Like, my apartment's rented. I got to go back, figure it out again. And it's not like I was making crazy money. The guys that make real money are like the top players that play in top leagues. Ecuador is not a top league. And, that market is just $3,000 a month is a lot of money over there. Right. If I was living in Ecuador for $3,000 a month, I'd be good. But I was just making $3,000 and sending back $1,500 to sustain my rent here. Right. And so it just didn't make sense, bro. It didn't make sense. I tried it again the next year. I went back and I'd had a very good first season. I went back and I played the second year for Barcelona, a sporting club. It was the biggest club in Ecuador. And
Barcelona, right? Different Barcelona.
It's a different Barcelona. You're talking about FC Barcelona, but I like confusing people anyway. It's cool. I played for Barcelona. But it's still a big club in Ecuador, and I didn't do well. I couldn't score. I couldn't shoot. I broke my wrist. I didn't really rehab my wrist the way I needed to. I didn't think I was gonna come back and play. I didn't think they were gonna call me. I got called, and I just didn't prepare correctly. I didn't stay active year round, and when it came down to go over there, I just wasn't really in my best mental and physical state, and I got cut. I played 6 games for Barcelona. I was scoring 6 points a game, and they were paying me all this money, and they were like, "Bro, you're not producing. Like, you gotta go. We could give this to an import." And that was difficult because I got cut as a grown man, like 27 years old. You know what I mean? Like, I hadn't dealt with getting cut from a basketball team. I never got cut.
Right, ever.
So it was kind of like a new experience, a new feeling, but it's all right. I mean, I traveled, I played, and when I got cut, I got on to another team that actually went to go play at Liga Sudamericana. So what happens is when whatever team wins is the championship team for that league, let's say Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, wherever you're playing, you qualify for a higher tournament called Liga Sudamericana. It's on a Latin America scale. So cool. The winner of Ecuador, the winner of Colombia, like I said, all the winners of the Latin American countries go compete in this tournament. And when I got cut, I was a free agent, and the team that won the year before that was now competing in this tournament picked me up.
Okay.
So I was able to go play at the highest level of basketball in Latin America. I was able to play in that tournament, and that was an amazing experience. I would have never been able to do that if I didn't get cut.
If you didn't get cut, what a lesson. Wow.
I'm not saying get cut from your team, but I'm just I'm just saying what's for you is for you. You know what I'm saying? What's for you is for you. And God, that's God-given stuff right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I went to Bolivia, and it was a crazy experience where I played in the highest altitude place that you could play in the world is in Bolivia. It's called Potosi, 13,000 feet above sea level.
Wow. How did
It
that
makes
feel?
Denver feel like
Is there a difference hooping at that level?
No
course.
oxygen.
There's no oxygen.
So you're like huffing
Bro,
and
it's
puffing?
horrible.
Yeah.
It was not enjoyable.
It's famous in South America, by
Wow.
the way.
Huh.
The playing at that in the
Yeah,
Altiplano.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But
dope.
this was the highest of the highest. And it was just like, you know, we went over that. I was fit. I was in shape. And it's like even just stretching out, doing basic dynamic stretching, you're
Winded.
winded.
Wow.
Yeah, we had oxygen tanks next to the benches, you know. It was serious, bro.
That's cool.
But it was cool. I got to play on DirecTV. I played against Nate Robinson. He was playing on the Venezuelan team.
Wow.
That one, yeah, that was nuts. Yeah, because he was like in and out,
Yeah.
you know, and those guys go play overseas, get the
Yeah.
bag. And, bro, it was a different level of basketball. Like, I definitely, when I played that, I saw, like, because you're good, but then you see, like, levels, you know what I'm saying? You see
Right.
levels, and it's just like, it was a good experience.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I mean, being able to get to travel the world like that, you know, and you're not just talking around here, you're talking the world. Right?
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
dope experience. And to be able to say that you played professional basketball, very dope.
But to get paid to play is crazy. It's not like now
Mm-hmm.
that the college kids actually get paid to play, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, it's like a whole business now. Back then when we were playing, it was like you had a scholarship or financial aid, and, you know, to get paid to play is crazy. I think everybody wanted to go overseas to
Yep.
play, and playing at Manhattanville was a Division III school. It's very hard to go overseas because you have all the Division I players that get priority first, and then you have the Division II players that are going to go after that, and nobody looks at a D3 player. So really, the loophole there was that I was Ecuadorian and I was able to get through there. So
And you were nice too. So
I could play. I could
Yeah.
definitely play. I could hoop. Don't get it twisted. But there's levels.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I
no,
mean?
for
There's
sure.
definitely levels.
All right, so now I want to transition you to, you know, the music side of things, where you were into, and correct me wherever I go wrong here, but it was a lot of electronic house banger vibes, right? And you were known as Fuego Beats
Yeah.
for a while, right?
Yeah.
So take us to the Fuego Beats era, and then also I want to start to talk about the business side of things, and then the rebrand and opportunity to become Felva.
Yeah. I still remember Quad Jam, Manhattanville. Man, I feel like we ran Manhattanville, you know, and there's a video still on my YouTube on my Fuego Beats page where
Oh, yeah.
you're in that,
Yes.
just going ham sandwich, bro.
I had long hair, right?
Yeah, the whole squad. And basically, when I got to Manhattanville, I knew I liked playing ball. I knew I liked music. I knew I liked cutting hair. I was in a very creative space, and I think Manhattanville was a place that allowed a creative to kind of grow, because it was a liberal arts college. I took music classes. I was cutting hair in the dorm room. I was making beats in my dorm room. I was playing ball. It's just got this big, beautiful piece of grass and a castle. You could just think, you know, and then basketball just kind of like, I don't know. It's a special place, Manhattanville. And I think it just kind of like allowed me to, you know, and so from the years of 18 to 22 as a human and following this college trajectory, like a traditional kid that graduates high school in the U.S. goes to college for 4 years, it's a very developmental stage in a person's life, right? Like, you're just developing yourself. And Fuego Beats just kind of like, I was just going through names, trying to figure out like what I wanted to do. I really didn't even start DJing until my junior year of college. My freshman and sophomore year, I was rapping, and I was Uncle Phil.
Yeah, yes.
I was Uncle Phil, you know, and I was just rapping. I had the mixtape, so all the homies on the basketball team, Wes Wicks, Jay Walsh was recording, and we were just all just experimenting, you know what I'm saying? And that's what it was, and it was cool until finally, like, junior year, I really got into producing, and I was like, you know what? I picked up Virtual DJ, which was like the beginner program of DJing. I started doing that, and it just kind of felt natural, and I needed a DJ name. And I was like, all right, I make beats. I'm from Miami. I'm Spanish. Fuego Beats. And it was a winner. You know what I'm saying? I kept it. We went with Fuego Beats, and I started to DJ, and I wasn't very good. Like, looking back, starting out, I put myself out there, and I wasn't really a good DJ, but I was just doing it. I was putting myself out there, and I would play like the same 30 songs every set. Like every set, the transitions were horrible. And it was just like, over time I got better, but it was just more so putting myself out there and using Manhattanville as a platform too, because I had the college following, I had the basketball team, everybody knew us, it was a small campus, so I used that to start to DJ at the little pubs on White Plains on my Merrimack. I used that to work with the school, hand in hand with the school, with the dean of students. They started to hire me for the castle parties and the cafeteria parties and the pub parties, and I started to make money. The quad jams, and that was like that was Fuego Beats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a great era.
It was a great era. I stuck
really
with
was.
Fuego Beats. I graduated, I stuck with Fuego Beats. But when I was out of college, I didn't have the college following anymore, and I started working corporate America with ADP, simultaneously DJing in New York. I realized how important that college following was, where I was. It was everything. When I didn't have that, I was like a nobody. I was in Queens, working in Manhattan. I couldn't get gigs anywhere. I didn't know anybody. New York kind of just slapped me in the face. And I was like, man, you know what I'm saying?
Where the
And
homies
so, yeah, I kept Fuego Beats for a while.
For the past 5 years, I've trusted Kai Vision Studio with my podcast. And every time, Claudio delivers an exceptional experience. The setup here is flawless. Professional lighting, crystal clear audio, and a custom set that makes every episode look elite. As someone who speaks on leadership, I know how important it is to show up with clarity and confidence. This studio allows me to do just that. The quality here isn't just about the equipment, it's about the environment. Claudio has created a space where I can focus on my message, knowing the production will be sharp, engaging, and professional. In a world flooded with content, standing out matters. And having a studio like this gives me the edge to produce videos and podcasts that truly connect with my audience. If you're serious about creating high quality content, I can't recommend Kai Visions enough. Claudio makes you feel at home, yet delivers at the highest level. 5 years in, I'm not going anywhere else. You know what's important too is, and I got to witness it firsthand.
I was doing a lot of EDM.
Yes, yeah. But your belief in yourself, and then also the belief almost that you received, I think, as a unit from just all of our friends and the homies, and that probably has a lot to do with being in a team environment and sports. But there were so many different years, I'm sure, as you were preparing and getting ready to take off and explode, to where certain people were probably hating on the journey. Being like, oh, he's not really that good, like you said. But then you just continued. And that's the difference that, I noticed with you, with Desmond. Shout out to Des, right?
He's killing it.
Smitty is still doing the music thing too. There's a lot of guys from Manhattanville, but all were associated with some level of sport that are still in music today. Do you think the sports correlated over to the belief that you had in yourself to grind?
100%. Like you have to have a certain grit when you play ball or you play a sport where you just don't care what people think. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna go out there and have a good game, or I'm gonna go out there and score whatever it is that I want to score. Or I'm gonna go out there and lock up. Like, I don't care what people think. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna go out there and hoop. And like that kind of attitude translated to like DJing and producing. Like, I don't care if you think I'm a good producer or not. I don't care if you don't enjoy my DJ set or you think my transitions are whack. Like, I'm gonna do it. And also the I think that the fundamental piece of everything that I did was always like, it was fun. Like, basketball is fun, bro. Like, I love to hoop. You love to hoop. It's fun. Like, when you hoop, it's fun, bro. Like, it's like, and then when I DJ'd, I think it wasn't until later in life that it became a business to me. That whole time I was just pure fun, passionate, vibes. And when you focus on that kind of stuff and just like the craft and trying to get better, you don't have time to worry about what other people think, bro. And I always put people on. I still put people on. I remember when I was DJing as a senior, I had a freshman that would always open up for me and do this. Like, I always believed in team and putting people on. So I did my part, you know what I'm saying? I did my part, and I always do my part as far as like giving back to the culture and all of that stuff. So people are always gonna talk. If people aren't talking, that's when you should be worried.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's when you should be worried. So I'm cool with it. And I learned that through basketball. You know, I remember when I was a freshman, we had a huge freshman class, remember? And Coach Scanlon used to always pick on me, bro. Always. Oh, you're not cutting the right way, or how do you forget this player? The back screen is here. It's not there. Felipe this, Felipe that. And I wasn't used to that, you know? And I just felt like he was always picking on me. And I wasn't used to that, bro. And I remember I spoke with Eddie Huezo, and shout out Eddie Huezo, and I was like, yo, bro, like, I don't know if this is for me, because every 2 seconds, like, he's calling me out. It's annoying. And he was like, bro, that means he cares about you. That means he knows you're a good player. The moment he stops picking on you, that's the moment he doesn't, you know, is not carrying. And I looked at it from a different perspective. I was like, all right. And I learned that early through basketball. I was 18 years old, and I was like, all right. And yeah, it's important.
Yeah, shout out to Eddie, man. You know, I'm super close to him, you know, even still
He
to
hit me
this
up, yeah,
day.
he hit me
It's
up a couple days
crazy.
ago.
One of the best, man. All right, so now talk to me about the business, because I was always in New York. You then were in Miami. Whenever we're in Miami, we'd link up. Whenever you're in New York, we would link up, and we had some dope times, specifically in 2017. Shout out to Kevin Pierre-Lewis. It was a movie night. It was a movie night. My boy spent about 30 grand in the clubs, and it was a oh man, what a vibe. But around that time, was it, I don't know the year, I guess, that you made the transition, but when did you make the business play? It was almost like you then hopped on Instagram, Snapchat at the time, and started really speaking Spanish and almost adopting a new identity. You've always leaned into your culture, for sure, and you always brought that to Manhattanville. But going from house music to now the Latin culture, it seemed like it was a strategic move, right? And then did that come with the name change to Felva?
The name change was the best thing I could have ever done in my entire life.
Break Felva down.
Felva is a breakdown of my actual name. My name is Felipe Vargas. So it's just, I just took Felva. But one of the issues I was having with Fuego Beats was that there was like 4 or 5 different guys out there making beats under Fuego Beats, you know, and even though I was the first one to claim it, there was all sorts of Twitters popping up every day, you know, you Google it, there was a bunch of other stuff happening under Fuego Beats, and I didn't like that.
It's too generic almost.
Yeah, it was a good name, but it was just like the word Fuego is like,
fire.
It's fire.
Right,
It's very, you know, and then Beats is another one. So I didn't like that. And then I ran into a artist. Like once I started leveling up, I started working with industry people. There was an artist named Fuego, a Spanish rapper who was already established as Fuego. Like that's Fuego. So I just felt I wasn't gonna be successful under that name. Between all the, you know, people that were claiming Fuego Beats and this artist that was already Fuego, I just felt like this was a dead end. And I made the decision to switch names because I needed like a new beginning. I was also kind of stuck musically, and it's all a process, bro. It's all developmental. Like the switch didn't happen overnight. It just kind of like, and music is always changing, you know, trends are changing, and you kind of gotta. So I realized I got to a point I was like, I need something new. I need like a game changer, something new. And it took me a long time. I didn't just go into Felva. Like I kind of stopped for like 4 or 5 months, just like taking gigs under Fuego Beats. Just like I just reflected a lot. I thought of it a lot. I didn't rush it. I didn't force it. At the time, I wasn't really making money off music. I had quit my day job. I was just kind of surviving. You know what I mean? I had a roommate. I was living very, very practical. You know what I'm saying? Like just trying to get by. But I was always knew that like this is what I wanted to do. You know. And basically, I thought about like all the issues I ran into with Fuego Beats from a business perspective, and I was like, I don't want that to happen with this next name change, and that made it a lot easier to find a unique name. And I just based it off of like artists that were already out there, like Diplo, Balvin, Kygo. Like even just saying those words 2-syllable names. Those are proven DJs. And it's like, what is a Kygo? Like, what is Kygo? It's like not really it sounds like something that's made up. Like, what is a dip? Okay, dip low. Okay, dip low. And it's just kind of like, I like that. I liked it clean, simple, unique. And I started thinking, I was like, well, what if I take my first name and my last name? And I was going to originally do Felvar with an R. But then I got into the making of the logos. And when I made the logos and I looked at Felvar versus like Felva, the logo just looked so much fresher without the R, you know? And then the R is like Felvar.
Yeah, you got to know.
Not all cultures can roll their R's.
I did a good job at the beginning, by the way.
You killed it. La más viral.
Yes.
Yeah. So, those are just things that I took my time with.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't even know how to pronounce Felva when I first even released to the public that was making the name change. I was pronouncing it like Felva with like an emphasis on the va, because I was even still trying to figure it out. But over time, it just kind of like, it settled in, and it was perfect because there was nothing on Google that said Felva like that. It was just open. You know what I'm saying? It was open, and I hit it hard. And at the time when I made the change, I had moved back to Miami, and I was immersed back into my natural roots, bro. And I was going hard with the EDM still, but I was now being very intentional with the type of songs I would remix, because I wasn't putting out original music when I made the name change. I was just remixing, and I started remixing Bad Bunny now. Instead of remixing like Calvin Harris, I just targeted Bad Bunny. My first 3 remixes as Felva were Bad Bunny. I took the hottest songs that Bad Bunny had at the time, and I remixed them. And I killed those remixes. So all the DJs at 11, at Live, they were all playing Felva remixes, which made it very easy to have credibility behind the brand. It's like, oh, a DJ, Conflict is playing a Felva remix. That's legit. A Diplo played a remix, a Felva remix on Sirius XM. That's legit. So all that stuff, I was very intentional. Like with Fuego Beats, I was all over the place. With Felva, I was like, all right, I'm gonna make this name change. I'm gonna rock a couple hot remixes. I'm gonna put them out there. They're gonna be fire. I'm gonna get the right DJs playing them. And bro, in a matter of like three to 6 months of just work of putting out remixes and targeting them with the right DJs, it was like real. Because people don't take it serious if you rebrand, and it could be almost like career suicide.
Absolutely.
So you have to have a game plan when you rebrand, and I feel like I nailed it effectively.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it gave me direction, because when I saw that the Spanish thing was working, I was like, oh.
You leaned into
and
it
I'm
more.
Spanish, and all of a sudden I'm in Miami, and I just kind of leaned into it, and it just kind of like took me there.
And I think what it did for you is it opened you up to a whole new demographic, right? Because you had your local following, and even, from Manhattanville, people following you. But even when I saw it, I was like, oh, wow, this is so different. And me, I mean, I was loving, Latin music specifically at that time too. So I think it's just super dope. And it was very strategic of you. And it's nice to hear that it was actually a patient process on your end. But that's important too, because when you make a conscious decision to change something like that, and then you see that it works, you double down on it, right? You already had the experience of trying to be all over the place like a lot of us do in business. And then when you find your niche, now it's go time. And then applying the same level of discipline, consistency from team sports into music. And that's one thing I think you're the most, consistent person I know when it comes to just constantly putting stuff out and always showing face. And you looked the part too. You know what I mean? You started to lean into the swag a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think that's all part of the culture.
Yeah, it's part of it. It's part of definitely. You know what I'm saying? I think if you are a rock star and you claim to be a rock star, you need to dress the part 100%. You need to invest in your image. You need to make sure you're. And it doesn't necessarily mean go blow the bag, but just make sure you look the part. If you're going to be performing as a main DJ or a main artist and people are going to come see you, or you're a center of attraction, you should look it. And there's a lot of guys that don't take that seriously.
You believe you're a rock star?
I'm a rock star. I am a rock star in the sense of, my life is a movie.
Absolutely. He said it to me in the car. We were talking about just like 9 to 5s and stuff. And he said, yo, I'm a rock star. And you are,
I did the
you know?
corporate world.
Yep.
I was successful in the corporate world, bro. I'm a great salesman. I did ADP. I made 6 figures when I was 23 years old. At that time, 6 figures, 23, we're talking 13 years ago, was good money for a 23-year-old. I could have been successful. I could have done banking. There's nothing wrong with going
Yep.
corporate, bro. It just wasn't for me. I'm not an office guy. You know what I'm saying? Like rock star, bro.
He literally
So-
said in the car. But he's always been like this too, which is something that I have the deepest respect for, because it's some people try and then some people are just authentic. You know what I mean? And you've always had that authentic swag about you.
I
which is dope.
remember at Manhattanville, I'll never forget this. Coach Scanlon, we had a practice, and Coach Scanlon, we had a game the next day against Eastern. And he was like, guys, tonight take it easy. We had this game tomorrow, and there was a party. It was like a Friday night. There was one of those like parties at the East Room or something like that. And they had hired me. The college hired me to DJ. And he told TP and Jeff, as the captains that year, to come talk to me after the practice and tell me that if I DJ'd that, I couldn't play in the game the next day. You know what I mean? And that was like, I think the first time that I had to make like a real conscious decision between choosing like between basketball and DJing and music, and seeing which one was going to take me further. And I DJ'd that night. I wasn't, and I was at practice. I was always at practice. I was always working, but I remember I DJ'd that night. Nobody went to the party, as far as like, I think maybe like a couple guys might have gone for from the basketball team, might have gone for a little bit, but like we had a game the next day, and I DJ'd. Like, it was a tough decision, but they came up to me like, yo, you can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't DJ. You're not gonna play tomorrow. And I DJ'd, bro. I took it and I was like, you know what? It is what it is, bro. Like, I'm not gonna DJ this party. Like, I'm a senior. I've already given 3 years of loyalty to this program. Now I'm over here with it. I'll do both. I'll do both. And I remember the next day I DJ'd the party. I got on the bus. And I remember Coach Scanlon walking into the bus and just kind of like looking at me. I looked back at him, and he just didn't say anything. He just sat down. But it was like I think he understood. You know, I think Scanlon understood, and I think he supported me, you know, and because I wasn't sure if I was going to play. And I just remember we sat down, we started playing, and I was 6 man. I was always 6 man. And I was the first player to always get called off the bench to come in. And I wasn't sure if my name was going to get called. At 15 minutes, my name got called. I went in there, I hit a three, off rip, swish. I was like, oh, it's on. I see him clapping, and I just felt so happy and relieved that I was able to like DJ this party and go play ball, you know?
Fire, yes.
It was a good, I don't know, it was just good. Then I shot another 3 and I airballed it. Airballed it. So, and we lost the game. But it was like it was life happening then and there, you know? So yeah, bro.
Nah, it's a great story, man. We were talking in the car about your tour life, DJ life. How hard is it to maintain that lifestyle and also maintain a sense of peace in your own life, kind of in the chaos? And how do you find that?
That's real. It's funny you use the word maintain, because my label and my company is actually called Maintain Music. It's what I live by. Like, maintaining is, to me, the hardest thing to do as a human being, because you can reach a level of success, but to do it over and over, and to like wake up and hit the gym every day and eat or whatever it is that you want to do, or come to this podcast and run this podcast, or whatever it is that you do, whatever your thing is, you could reach it, but can you do it over a long period of time at a high level? And that's maintenance, right? So it's difficult, because it's in the nightlife for the most part when it comes to DJing. But there's a lot of hours that get put into DJing that don't happen in the nightlife. Like all the prep work, all the downloading of music, all of like your routines when you DJ, all of that stuff happens when you're not at the club. You know what I mean? It happens, it's preparation. And And then as a producer, I have studio time as well that I'm producing, and that has nothing to do with DJing. I could be making DJ remixes for the DJ community to listen to, or for people to rock at the club. But I also have my own agenda as a producer, and producing is not something that is done quickly. You know what I mean? So those two are full-time jobs, daytime and nighttime, you know? And then you have traveling in between. Like as I told you in the car, I'm now Almighty's official DJ. So Almighty's a shout out to Almighty. He's a very, very dope and legendary artist in the Latin world. He's got records with Ozuna, Bad Bunny, Anuel. He's legendary. So I was able to go on tour with him for the first time last year, 2025, and I did, I think, 40 dates in 2 months, and it was tough. You know, it was just flights, new cities. It was it could be very unhealthy. You know, you just kind of have to take care of your body. It's difficult, not to mention trying to have somewhat of a balanced relationship, if one, during that time, with everything that comes with the DJ world, and you know, all the women and the external stuff that you get caught up in. It's difficult, bro. It's kind of like the DJ life. It's cool. It's a movie. I think it's very few places or careers that you could just pull up somewhere, spin, and get paid $120, $150 an hour to spin. That's like doctor money. You know what I'm saying? And you do that, and it's a good career. If you're passionate about it, it's good, but it's not easy, bro. It's a lot of competition. It takes a lot of discipline. It's a lot of politics involved. A lot of people always undercutting. A lot of DJs playing for very cheap. And now you have AI. You have playlists that do this mixing for you. It's just tough, bro. And you have to constantly reinvent yourself. That's why I've always put out music. That's why I've always put out remixes, tried to work with artists that have value so that my brand could stay tip top and stay relevant. You know what I'm saying? Because if you just DJ, bro, anybody could honestly DJ these days. You know what I'm saying?
You were talking about the importance before about just different revenue streams too, and you've been able to do that, you know, very successfully.
Yeah.
Whereas even if one season of your life, maybe you're not DJing as much, but now you're producing.
Yeah.
And the brand is so important, man. You know, that's I think in any industry. As you're talking, I'm even thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, like in DJing, there's not that many slots. And honestly, you probably get to a level, I'm assuming this as a non-DJ, you probably get to a level to where like you're just a good DJ, right? So it really doesn't matter about the level of the DJ once you're already at that excellent level. Yeah. It's more about the clubs and the promoters wanting to bring somebody who has a strong brand behind them, right? So business is so important in DJing, and I would assume that early DJs make the mistake of just thinking that it's about the music, and they don't necessarily focus on the brand.
Right. Some DJs would do that. Some are aware. Mentorship has a lot to do with it. You know what I mean? Like I have a couple of young guys that I mentor, that I give them advice that I wish was given to me. I also had a lot of good mentors growing up too. So
what would you say is one of those pieces of advice
for like a young DJ? You know, I would say like I would say focus on the music. Make sure that your craft, you're a true master at your craft. You know, but at the same time, focus on building strong relationships, being diplomatic with people. Those two go hand in hand in the DJ world, because it's like you could be a good DJ, but if you're an introvert, if you're not really going out there trying to make relationships, or going out there and supporting like other DJs that could potentially put you on, you're not gonna get anywhere, you know. And if you're just going out there networking and doing that, but you're not actually
good at what
nice,
then
it's not gonna work out either, because you can network all you want, but if I put you on, are you gonna deliver, or are you gonna make me look bad? You know what I'm saying? So I just try to tell people to have a balance of those two things early on. understand your music, understand your strengths, and see what you want to do and just become a master at that. But at the same time, be a good business person. Be a good business person, build a real brand around yourself, you know, secure your social media stuff, take professional pictures, put out mixes, do the steps. Like, don't skip steps. You know what I'm saying? Like, go through the steps, go through the process, and you'll be all right, Get to gigs early, like, try not to get there right, try to read the room, play for the crowd. A DJ, essentially, I mean, unless you're a DJ artist that has their own music and people are coming out to see you, you're a DJ for the people. And even those guys still have to play for the crowd. So, like, read the crowd. Because DJing, the technicality of DJing is not that difficult. Like, I could sit down with you, Dave, and with 100 hours worth of sitting down, you'll know how to DJ. But those 100 hours are not going to translate toward reading a room. Mm-hmm. That takes time, You can get caught in situations where there's 20 different cultures in one room. And how are you rocking that whole crowd, So
that's great. I strategically asked you that because I had a feeling that the advice for a young DJ entrepreneur is very applicable to almost any industry. Yeah. Everything you said, it's a business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a tough question. I guess what's a moment in your career that you can reflect on where things looked good publicly, but behind the scenes they weren't as good as they seem?
Boy, I've had a lot of those. And it's one of those things that goes hand in hand with branding, because publicly you have to maintain a brand, and sometimes you have a lot of good things happening on the front end for your brand and good situations happening, but the back end could be ugly, I've had situations where I've had a really good beat placement, for instance,
Beat placement?
Like a beat placement. Like, I made a beat.
Okay.
A major artist jumped on the beat.
Gotcha, okay.
And put the song out. That's a beat placement, like a record placement, as a producer. Because you got to have a songwriting placement too, If you didn't make the beat and you wrote a song for somebody, and then you have a songwriting placement. Mm-hmm. So I've had a placement before, and it's great, but because all of a sudden I have a record with, I'm not going to drop names, but, I have a record with a major artist. So on the front end, it's like, damn, Felva made this big record. He's lit, and you are. But the back end, you could have just got bullied on the paperwork.
Contractually, you could have got left off of split sheets. You could have, they could have gave you credit for some things and cool, but on the back end, you're not seeing any bread from it. Now, does that happen frequently?
Yeah, it happens frequently when you don't understand the business, you don't know the business, and when people have leverage over you. You know what I mean? It happened a lot early on in my career. Mm-hmm. I got left off of a couple of records that became big hit singles that could have changed my life. Even if I just had a small percentage on them, 5%, 3%, it could have been a game changer. And because I wasn't sound from a legal perspective and didn't have proper representation or knowledge of what I needed to have in place, I got walked over. And that's on me. You know what I'm saying? That's not
learning.
At the time,
curve, right?
It's a learning curve. At the time, I pointed a lot of fingers because I thought people that I worked with were friends. And you realize that there's friends, but I could count on my hand how many real friends I actually have, And then there's levels to friendships, and you have business friendships, there's just levels to friendships, And when I say I could count on my hand, that's like friends for real, that are there for real. Yeah. But like on a business level, it's like you can't trust anybody. You can't really trust that somebody's just gonna give you a percentage of something. Mm-hmm. You have to demand it. You have to, and I wasn't legally sound. So on the front end, I had a lot of success because I could attach my name to this and that, and I could get clout from it, but my bills aren't being paid by it.
Yeah, there's
and
a common
they should
thing.
be paid by it. You know what I mean? Like I should have. So it's like it's been a lot of times that's happened.
We spoke with Scram on even Scram's episode. He had a huge moment early on in his career with a very big artist that he was left off of. That he said even to this day, that would be the thing that changed his whole life. And it's wild that in an industry like that, like one song, royalties off of one song, that does, I guess, whatever numbers you're,
And sometimes it's not even the thing is that the thing is that the music business is very complex because you're dealing with like intellectual property. So like, and a lot of things go into getting a record done. So technically, the people that get split into records, percentages of records, are typically the people that create the record, right? So you have like your songwriters, and you have your artists, and you have your producers, and like a song is comprised of like instrumentation and lyricism, songwriting, like 50%. An instrumental and 50% lyrics. That's what makes a song, And so like if you didn't participate, if you didn't put a sound into something or anything like that, technically you're not really supposed to be on a split sheet. You know what I mean? If you didn't write a lyric or whatever. And nowadays you have situations where there's 10 songwriters and 10 producers, and really only 2 people produced the record and 2 people wrote the song, but you have all these politics that go around into like, oh, I introduced this person to that person. Oh, this wouldn't have happened if this happened. Oh, this is a manager and he has to get cut in because of this and that. And it's just like, it's tricky. It's tricky because it's like, sometimes you have to cut certain people in if they helped you make the record.
Right.
Because you want to do that again.
It sounds messy.
It's messy.
It does sound
messy. It's very messy. And I've been in situations where I haven't, for instance, produced a record, but I introduced the person that jumped on that record and that made it a hit. Does that not warrant some sort of a percentage? Am I wrong for asking for percentage? So you just kind of got to like know how to handle your business and be very clear. You know what I'm saying? Be very clear with the expectations even beforehand. You know what I'm saying? Even beforehand. Because like over time I've grown to have relationships with major artists that confide in me that if I say, yo, I want you to come to Miami, let's work on a song, let's work on whatever, and I fly him out, all of a sudden my circle of producers, my circle of people also have access to them. But they have access to them because I brought them down here and because of my years of work with this person.
Right.
And all of a sudden now you have access to them. Right? But if that came from my stem of work, then there's got to be something to give. You know what I'm saying? And some people look at you like you're shady for doing something like that, right? And some people look at you like it's warranted. Like it's and I think as long as in life, I think I've learned everything is negotiable and it's all about the expectations you set. You know what I mean? Like when somebody always steps to me like, oh, this is what it is because that's what it is. It's like, no, bro, everything is negotiable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everything. It's all based on a conversation you and I have and an expectation you and I set. Forget about what the expectation you set with the last guy you did. You could offer me that perspective, and if it works for me, it works for me, and vice versa. But this is a new conversation. This is a new record. This is a new song, and every situation is different. And there's a lot of moving parts, so you have to assess it. You have to be diplomatic. It's a crazy game, bro.
It is. As you're explaining, it's definitely a crazy game.
It's a crazy game, and it's not very clear. The way royalties are paid out also is it's a lot that goes into it, bro. It's a lot. I have a catalog of music of over 50 songs. Out of the 50 songs, maybe like 5 to 7 of those songs are like strong records. Like one being with Busta, the Busta Rhymes song, Where You Find This with Ding Dong, that was #1 on iTunes on global charts for like a month. The song with Yailin and Randy, that's up there. The 2 records I got left off, each record, like both records as a whole combined for probably 1 billion streams. You know, across all platforms. So think about having a percentage on a song that has 1 billion streams. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? And so like I got left off of those because I wasn't prepared to go to war or handle my situation with sharks, you know? But I learned from that. But at the same token, those records did happen and I did have participation. I did have credit on them. So for example, when it got nominated, when one of the records got nominated for a Grammy, hey, I technically was Grammy nominated. So it's like, I'm Grammy nominated, but my bank account ain't Grammy nominated. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I've had plenty of those situations, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
But we run into those situations more now, but they're handled. It's much more normal for me to handle them
because you have the experience.
There's processes in place, you know. We have things in place, and so, you know, it takes that sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
It takes that.
Shout out to Boundless Nutrition, because if you're serious about your health, your performance, and your lifestyle, this place is a game changer. Boundless Nutrition is a hub for people who refuse to live average. We're talking ready-to-go healthy meals for busy professionals, sports performance supplements, vitamins you can trust, training gear, and the best protein shake bar around. So whether you're chasing strength, fat loss, endurance, or just trying to feel better day to day, they've got you covered. And let me say this, Amanda and the entire Boundless team are incredible, knowledgeable, welcoming, and genuinely invested in helping you win. If you're in Westchester County, New York, stop by 54 Washington Avenue in Pleasantville and experience it for yourself. You can tell them you're a friend of Dave's and find them on Instagram at Boundless Nutrition NY. Because at the end of the day, change your lifestyle, change your life. Now, back to the epic. I want to shift you to something different. I don't even know if you're prepared to talk about it, but is there loneliness in this journey, man? You know, being a, you know, now we're 36, we're both the same age. You know, like, do you have a vision of settling down, having a wife and family while you're kind of still in this lifestyle? Because you've built a brand, a career here, and I don't see, I mean, unless I'm wrong, but I don't see you like going to corporate anytime soon. So it has to be somebody that works for you in the relationship piece. And then also, does this get lonely?
I think DJing is a very, very lonely career, bro. It's a very, very lonely career in the sense of it's difficult to find like a partner that understands the lifestyle, that understands what you need from them. And everybody's different. Not all DJs are like me, or I'm not like any, like I'm complicated. You know what I'm saying? I'm complicated, but like I've been there and done everything that you could possibly do. You know, I'm 36 at this point, and I'm human, and I the center of my entire operation is with Christ. Like, God is the foundation to what I do. And, you know, I live by the Bible, and I understand that, like, as humans, I think, like, having children is very important because that's ultimately, like, your legacy. It's what you leave. You know, what good is, you know, cooking a big filet mignon steak if you don't have anybody to eat it with type situation, you know what I mean? I mean, I enjoy things myself. I value my independency, and I'm very protective of my independency, and I've worked very hard for what I've built. So whoever I share that with needs to, like, complement that, you know? And it's very difficult to find, like, a woman that understands that. With that being said, my vision is to have kids. I'm 36. I'd like to have kids pretty soon, to be honest. I feel like I'm in a financial place in my career right now that I'm stable enough to, like, welcome a you know, a life into this world and be able to sustain and not worry so much about finances. I mean, that's always going to be a worry, but, like, I'm not grinding like that no more.
Right.
Like, now I'm kind of, like, you know, diversified. And it gets old, bro. You know, sleeping around, you know, it just gets old. You know, it's not like we talked about in the car. It's not fulfilling.
Right.
You know, eventually you want to do nice stuff with somebody and share memories with somebody and build that. I'm at a point where I definitely am looking for that. You know, I'm more so involved in my work, in my space, focusing on my stuff. But it's difficult because the girls that are at the club aren't really like, I'm not going to say you can't find love at the club, but it's just difficult. Like, that's not really where you want to go to find that wifey, you know what I mean? Because if they're at the club, you know, a lot of the girls that are at the club are young. They're young girls, you know? So it's like, you're 23, you're 24. I'm 36. That's a 12-year gap. Like, when you're 23, 24, you're trying to figure your life out. So it has its benefits because it's like, okay, you're young, you've got great reproductive genes right now, you're beautiful. Like, there's no, it's a fact. Like, it's a fact. Sure. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot going for yourself, but on the mental side and on the career side, it's just like, you know, me personally, I like a girl that has her own motion happening. You know, I don't want to be responsible for just being a sole provider, even though I will in the right cases. You know, if my wife gets pregnant or whatever the case is, I step up. It's all good. But I still need my girl to have her own purpose, to have her own motion. Identity. You know what I'm saying? Identity. And when you're 23, 24, you don't have that. You're too young. You're too young. And then the problem with when you go fast forward and you start dating older girls that do click with you mentally, they're set in their ways. You know what I mean? They're already like, it's this way or the highway, and you can't, you know, so you would need a perfect match. A person that sees eye to eye with you, you would need a perfect match for that older woman to work with you, which is very hard to find. And a lot of older women have kids, which I don't have an issue with, being that I come from, I mentioned earlier, I had a lot of male role models, so it's a little hypocritical, but the thing is that I want to experience my birth of a child with a first timer as well. At least my first one. You know what I'm saying? But as I get older, a lot of the cooler chicks that I meet have kids. But it's just difficult because they always prioritize their kid first. You're always going to prioritize your kid first. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just difficult, bro. It becomes trickier and you get older, you know what I'm saying? And the gap becomes bigger and you're getting older.
You're spiraling right now. No, you're spiraling. Let me bring you back because you're definitely going to find, and I appreciate the transparency too. And also how, I love how thoughtful you are, you know, even when you're talking, you're really good at describing, right? Like even the different age groups and what this age group versus this group, you're really good at it. No, I'm serious.
He's a creative, bro.
He is. He's a great storyteller. But no, man, you are going to find somebody that just compliments you in every way, you know, and it's going to be worth the wait, just like it was in, you know, all the business endeavors and stuff like that, you know. I believe so. But I also think you got to start putting that out, like, you know, we're going to clip this piece up and we're going to put it out like, yo, Felva's looking for a wifey. Mrs. Felva. Mrs. Felva is coming.
For sure, 100%, bro. And I think, you know, when people get to know me on a real level, especially like women, they realize like they humanize me more, because I feel like when you're DJing, you're like in this box of like, he's like this DJ, like especially Miami DJ, like, you know, not really like hubby material. And it's like, bro, like it's very annoying. Like it gets old to me. It's like, I don't like to be boxed into this, even though I'm not saying, you know, like that I wasn't that, or that I wasn't, you know, hubby material at some point, or I'm not in the club DJing, but it's just like, I'm human, you know what I mean? And when people get to know me, they see I'm mature, they see I'm business oriented, they see that I DJ, but I'm serious about it, I produce, all of this, and it's always like, I don't know, reactions I get from women are always like surprised that I am who I am, you know? It's like,
they just judge.
They have this whole judgment side, you know? It's just like, bro, like, you know? But it's tough, man. Being a public person, being an entertainer, being in the DJ world, there's a bunch of girls around you that are always super hot. Like, you know, you get that attention, and it's difficult for a partner to be able to swallow that pill, you know what I'm saying? And to trust you. Trust is going to be the major key factor in that situation, and I think I'm ready to put myself out there and you know, live that wifey faithfulness life and all that. But there still has to be like a level of like chemistry there that's just overstood. You know what I'm saying?
I could see a TV show. We could pitch this, CV.
Yeah.
I want a percentage though for the introduction.
We got to talk percentages
We got to
right
talk
now.
percentages here,
Do
man.
it. Hey,
Listen, a
I'm with
TV
it.
show. Listen, Mrs. Felva, finding Mrs.
Finding
Felva.
Mrs. Felva. That'd be
I
kinda
like
cool.
it, right?
Yeah.
All right, man. As we close out, what would you tell the so the No Snooze podcast is essentially a call to action to wake up and just attack everything that you
Yeah.
do, right? Through life's challenges, through life's adversity, all the moments that we know, you know, challenge us in every way. What would be your closing message to people who are just trying to do better, man, and trying to grow, you know, every day that they have an opportunity to wake up?
Yeah. I think there's always space to learn something new. Like, nobody knows everything in a single space. No matter how much I DJ, no matter how much you write books and motivate and preach and whatever your specialty, no matter what it is out there, like there's always space to learn more and to learn from somebody else. And so like I've been very hard-headed in the past, thinking that I might know everything, I might know this and that. And it's like these days, bro, I do more listening. I just do more listening. I talk to successful people in different fields, and I just listen and I just learn, bro. Because like you have to be a student of the game, you know what I'm saying? Like so I just think like always make sure that you're like not closed-minded to the point where like you don't leave space for like new learning, you know what I'm saying? Or think you know everything, because you don't, you know what I'm saying? Like no matter what, we're just constantly evolving. So like just leave space for learning, be open, be kind, be humane, you know, basic stuff, bro. Like I stopped littering. I used to litter all the time, bro, and I stopped doing it. I was like, bro, like,
Well,
what
like
am I
just
doing?
throwing stuff on the floor?
Yeah, like it was normal to me. Like I don't know,
What,
it
you
was
like
just
eat
normal.
something and just
I was
throw
just,
it?
if I used to litter all the time, bro. I used to like if I open up a straw from McDonald's or somewhere wherever, you know, I just toss it. Normal around me. It was horrible.
Confessions of Felva.
It was horrible, bro. But like even just waking up, doing my bed in the morning, first thing, setting the tone, set the tone right. You know what I'm saying? Not littering, recycling, doing the dishes, use the dish, clean the dish. You know what I'm saying? Not leaving dishes there because you're rushing through your day. And like, no, like do the dish. You know what I'm saying? Wake up earlier if you have to. Like whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Like don't get caught up in this life and just do like the simple things. Keep it simple, do the simple things, and just leave space for knowledge, bro. Leave space for knowledge. You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
Leave space for knowledge.
Where can everybody find you and connect with you?
Yeah, well, my socials are at Dímelo Felva. We are currently working to just get the Felva, you know, tag, which we will get very soon. But right now, at Dímelo Felva, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, active. Maintain Music, my label. That's where all the music comes out.
What about upcoming projects?
I'm working on my first album right now.
Ooh,
I'm working on my first album right now, and that's like where my focus is.
that's fire.
Yeah.
Is this in the Latin Caribbean space or
Both.
Oh,
Yeah, I want my. It's more so gonna be more Latin than Caribbean, but it's gonna have a couple of dance hall records on there. So I'm trying to finish like a 8 to 10 album, like a project with some high level artists, like legendary artists that I've worked with throughout the years, and I think that that's the move for me, because that's the next step. Because I've put out a lot of records already, you know, as singles, but I haven't really put out like a real body of work. And I'm at that point where it's like I want to be on album mode. I'm on my like DJ Khaled vibes, you know what I'm saying? And it's gonna be called Maintain Music Volume 1, and there's gonna be Volume 2 and a Volume 3, and we're just gonna put out good music, good vibes. And that's what I'm on right now, bro. Album mode. It's a lot of work, bro.
I love it.
It's a lot of work.
I love the vision and the drive that's still there. You know, it's something that's never switched up on you. But yeah, man, congratulations on all the success, and abundance more is coming your way, my brother.
Thank you, my boy.
I'm
Hopefully we find
grateful.
hopefully we find a wifey, no?
I think we
wifey.
might get one, bro.
Listen.
I think we might get one. This
Listen,
is dope.
there's nice girls out there. I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'm ready.
But nah, thanks for having me, bro. I'm super proud of you, bro. Super excited for what's in the journey for you, man. And every time I open up Instagram and I see one of your dialogues, it's just like got money like David Genius. Working, boy. Working, doing good,
Thank you,
looking
my
good.
brother.
You know?
I
So
appreciate
you have
that.
my support 100%, dog.
Thank you, bro.
100%.
Listen, guys, we just want to say thank you for tuning in, whether you listen to one episode or 270 with my brother, Felva. I encourage you to follow, stay tuned on the journey with everything he's got going on. And CV, I thank you, my brother. If you guys have not got a copy of my latest book, 30 Lessons to Lead, you can find that on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart. And as always, you can shop the latest merch at nosnoozeshop.com. And until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it.
Let's get Felva a wife, baby. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's another epi in the books. You can follow us on Instagram at No Snooze Podcast and leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze. Shop the latest merch at nosnoozeshop.com. Come on.